Alrighty, everybody. It is currently Monday, July 14th, 2025, and I'm coming at you live from the inside of DJ Khaled's cavernous belly button. Cavernous, hairy, smelly, stinky. I mean, we've got everything in here. We've got, luckily it's nice and big, so there's enough lint in here for me to make a nice little pillow and a nice little blanket so I can tuck myself in to go to sleep. But it is quite large, so excuse any echo or any grumbling coming from his stomach. Although I doubt there's going to be any grumbling coming from there. Uh, because that guy doesn't seem like he spends too much time hungry, if you know what I mean. He's always munching. He's never got an empty stomach. But today's episode, you know, it's why I shrunk myself down so I could fit in DJ Khaled's belly button. We're talking about quantum mechanics, okay? It's this is I would say if you're close to having a mental breakdown, if your family has a history of mental illness or schizophrenia, if you've ever been hospitalized for any of those things, if you've ever had anxiety or any existential issues of any kind, if you've ever worried about the fabric of the universe tearing apart, which I don't know. Maybe I'm just weird. I feel like I've worried about that for a while. I'm always like, what the fuck is going on here, dude? How do we know shit's gonna stay the same? How do we know that the fucking, when I was a kid, right, I used to think that the universe was like finite, right? And that the earth wasn't just like floating in the air, it was actually falling through the air. And so I had like this weird, I don't even know what you'd call it, daydream, fucking retarded idea. I don't know what you'd call it. But I used to have this idea that the earth was just falling through the air, right? And one day it would reach the bottom and it would fucking just crash there. So that's how dumb I am. If you want any reference for, what this episode is gonna be like, that's what I thought the universe was. I thought the which is it's such a stupid thought, right? It doesn't make any sense at all. But that's just what the fuck I thought was going on, but turns out it's not. Turns out it's a lot more retarded than that, actually. It's so much more stupid and so much more just weird, dude. Like yesterday when I was like really reading about this and learning about it, first of all, it's very hard. It is just for reference, we got 11 tabs open right now. That's more than South Sudan. That might be like double fucking South Sudan, dude. We got 10 or 11 tabs open right now, and one of them is ChatGPT. And before the people come at me being like, "Oh, you use AI? You use AI?" It's like, yeah, dude, I fucking use AI. Yeah, I'm not using AI as like my therapist or to make a grocery list for me, right? That's not why I'm using AI. I'm using AI to try to understand quantum mechanics, right? It's sorry sorry most people use AI for retarded reasons, but this is also pretty retarded because I still don't think I understand quantum mechanics and I'm not going to pretend like I do. But now I feel like I do have a little bit of a grasp on it thanks to AI. But the other thing about AI is it's about I don't think it's wrong as often as I am wrong, but it's a close battle, dude. It's me and AI are neck and neck in terms of stupidity. And that's why I kind of get pissed off sometimes when people are like, AI isn't conscious, because I'm like, if that thing isn't conscious, then neither am I. I'm not saying it's like fully conscious, but it's pretty fucking close to me. And I do get it. I'm not like the peak of human intelligence, right? I'm not the peak of human consciousness or wisdom or knowledge or, brain power or anything, right? But I don't know. I'd say I'm a human. I don't think that's a ridiculous take, but I guess, with everything going on in the world, just everyone on both sides, it is maybe a controversial take to say that I am human and that other people are human as well and that we're all human. I think that might be, no matter what side you're on, I think that's a pretty controversial take. People will be like, "So, you don't think you think everybody's a human, so you think people that kill other people are human?" It's like, yeah, dude, they're human. Like maybe they deserve to die, but they're still human. And AI, I'm not saying it's at the human level yet or even close, but I mean that thing, and I get it, it's taking information from other smart people and just spitting it back out, but that's also exactly what I do. That's what most people That's like why Joe Rogan is so popular, right? It's like dum-dums like me listen to Joe Rogan and the smart people he has on his podcast, learn like 3 or 4 sentences about a certain topic and then just spit it back out in the world. That's quite frankly what I did with quantum mechanics for a while. I was just like, yeah, dude, electrons, they be in more places than one at the same time, dude. Electrons, they're in 2 places at the same time. Pretty crazy, right? And then you actually learn about quantum mechanics and it's not even that fucking simple, dude. it's the most fucked up thing in the entire world. Like, literally learning about this, I was freaked the fuck out. And also, I haven't been sleeping a whole lot lately, and that didn't help at all. I was fully like, I wasn't, I was like, I would like close my eyes and I would just be like, nothing, nothing makes any sense, dude. And it takes a lot of brain power to try to really like learn and understand everything I learned in what was it was like 1.5 hours. Like it was a pretty short fucking time span. And I've listened to stuff. I've taken physics classes before and I've learned not in those physics classes, but I've learned about quantum mechanics before, right? By like listening to the professors and shit. And I actually, in preparation for this episode, because I didn't really quite understand quantum superpositions fully. I didn't really understand it. I don't think the scientists understand it either. Maybe I'm completely fucking wrong. Maybe they do. And maybe I'm a moron. It's not a maybe. I definitely am a moron, but I don't think they fucking understand that shit either because that shit is fucked up. But anyway, I listened to this lecture about it was like the first lecture for like a class about quantum mechanics, and this one was supposed to be trying to get people to understand the concept of a quantum superposition, which we'll talk about a little bit, dude. We're not going to be talking about that shit too much because I feel like no one really listens to this podcast, right? We got a couple new listeners. We did get one recently. Shout out to that guy. We're up to 13 followers, dude, for the 13 original colonies because I'm a goddamn patriot. I feel like if we talk about that shit too much, first of all, I'm gonna go insane, and I feel like other people are gonna go insane too. And not even because of the actual content, right? Not because they understand a quantum superposition, because I don't understand the quantum superposition and I'm trying to explain it, and I feel like that would make people go insane. So I just feel like it's gonna make people go insane in general. But I was listening to this lecture while I was doing some work for my dad this morning. You know, doing some farm work, getting the calves ready for sale. No, I don't do that. I do like bitch ass farm work. I literally do like slave labor. I do like a fucking Chinese factory farm work. Like that's the stuff I like a Chinese kid in a factory. That's the equivalent of what I'm doing in terms of farm work. I'm basically on a fucking assembly line, dude. I understand the workers. I'm a communist now. I'm an anti-industrialist communist now. And I was listening to this lecture, this MIT lecture while I was doing this work, dude, and I was just completely lost on that. And I think one of the main reasons I was because first of all, it's an MIT lecture about quantum mechanics, and I'm a fucking dum dum who hasn't taken a physics class since fucking high school. I did make it through calculus. I think I got an A in calculus. I can't really. I must have gotten an A because I made the fucking dean's list. But anyway, not to brag yet. But I made the dean's list at a liberal arts college where I took creative writing. I made the dean's list there. But I think the other reason I didn't understand this class or this lecture is because the class I think is an 800 level class. And for people not in college or people who haven't been to college in their lives, uh the way college goes, right? You've heard of like biology 101 or whatever. That's an introductory class. And then you'll have like, you know, biology 202. And that's those can also be introductory, but to other certain subjects within biology, right? So a biology 202 class might be an introductory biology class into, you know, evolution or whatever. And then you have 300 level classes and 400 level classes and stuff. And for reference, in order to get a bachelor's degree at the school that I'm going to, you only need to take 400 level biology classes, right? So that past introductory level, this is all, you know what I mean, some pretty, you know, advanced stuff when it comes to biology. And the lecturer I was listening to, he's like, "Welcome to Physics 804." And I don't know what that maybe that means it's a I don't know if they have like a different numbering system at MIT. Maybe they do. Maybe they don't have the same fucking numbering system as like a liberal arts college or a fucking basically a junior college that I'm going to right now. Maybe they have a different numbering system there, but like if it's an 800 level class, the fact that I listened to it and understood a word of it should be shocking to everyone. They should be, quite frankly, they should be ashamed of that. They should be ashamed that I understood a word of that fucking lecture if it was actually an 800 level class. Because an 800 level class, that's like a master's or maybe like a PhD level class. Maybe I'm completely fucking wrong and MIT has a different numbering system and I'm retarded, which Yeah, that's probably the case, but it helped me a little bit. I did have, like, one aha moment during it, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to explain it super well because this guy the guy doing this lecture, smart guy, right? Pretty smart guy, obviously, is a fucking professor of, like, quantum physics at MIT, who obviously is a smart guy. But I mean, damn, it is fucking tough to, like, really understand it. I'm just gonna say it in the most basic way I can, and that's really towards the end of this subject, this episode that I'm doing. It's more towards the end of it. I think it's on the 3rd page or maybe the 4th page, but Jesus goddamn Christ, is it mind-blowing, and it's 100% true. We'll get to why it's true, or one of the reasons why it's true, like the evidence for why I believe it's true, right? Obviously, I'm not poring over fucking metadata or whatever. I'm just looking at like general concepts, right? But it's it's fucking tough, dude, and it's a little bit scary. It's a little bit like I'm saying, dude, if your family has any history of mental illness, if you've ever like lost touch with reality ever, like in the slightest way, I would say don't listen to this, right? Like I've done mushrooms twice. I've done 2 grams of mushrooms and not 2 grams each time I did it, 1 gram each time, and even, like, that brought me back to this. Or this subject, learning about quantum superpositions, brought me back to that because I was just like, "Holy fuck, dude." I watched, like, 4 or 5 YouTube videos about it, just trying to wrap my head about it because I had heard about it before, right? Like I'm saying, I'm just an average, like, Joe Rogan dumb listener being like, just trying to get, like, 2 little tidbits that I can tell fucking everybody about, right? So I can seem smart. I'm one of those people. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not. That's kind of what this entire podcast is. I get, like, 2 tidbits of fucking information, and then I pretend like I'm smart. But and so I thought I understood it. Turns out I don't even now after all this research. I probably superpositions was probably, like, the thing that I looked into the deepest during this episode, and I still don't understand really anything about I understand the concept of it, but I'm like, "How? Why? How and why?" Those are my 2 big questions there. Who, what, when, where, how, and why. Like, that's I completely I'm so fucking lost on it. But it's incredibly complicated, dude. Like I said, 11 tabs, and those are just the tabs I have open right now. Over the course of it, there was probably, like, 20 tabs of me trying to be like of them using words and me being like, "I don't even understand what that fucking word means," right? Like, I was asking the AI to explain it to me in the simplest possible terms, and it used, like, fucking 15 words I didn't know, and I was like, "Dude, you gotta slow down." ChatGPT, bro, I call him Chet. Chet, you gotta slow down a little bit, dude. ChatGPT, you gotta fucking chill out a little bit and tell me what those words mean, dude. I was like, explain it to me in the simplest possible terms, and it was still using fucking words that I was like Googling the definitions for. It's insanely fucking complicated, dude. It's the South Sudan of fucking science, dude. It is just it's so convoluted and so complicated, and it's all like this weird, big, interconnected web of bullshit that I'll probably never understand in my entire life. But it is what it is, dude. It's fucking everywhere. Apparently, dude, that's the other fucking scary thing about it. When I was like learning about quantum mechanics, when I was listening to that Joe Rogan episode, I was like, yeah, this is just some bullshit that applies to like 1 or 2 fucking tiny little particles, dude. I don't give a fuck. Then I found out, no, it's not. It's literally everywhere, right? Like quantum mechanics, it's not a separate field from classical mechanics, which brings us to the first part of this episode. Quantum versus Newtonian physics, right? And Newtonian physics is also called classical physics. And also, by the way, I don't understand the difference between quantum mechanics and quantum physics. Maybe it's the same thing, but I'm going to be using those 2 terms interchangeably. All right. Newtonian physics. It's the shit everyone's heard of, right? It really, I'm trying to think of an example. Mass equals fucking or wait. What is it? Momentum equals mass times velocity or some shit like that. I really don't fucking remember any of it. But it's that Newtonian physics, if you've ever taken a physics class before, seems basic in comparison to quantum physics slash quantum mechanics. It's absurd. It's insane. I was literally like, I'm not one of those people that like my brain hurts from learning this or I'm getting a headache from learning this because it's so complicated. I've never had that before in my life. I've heard people talk about it a little bit. You see people in like a classroom during a test like rubbing their heads trying to think and shit. I've never really never really had that before. I don't think it's because I'm smart. I think it's actually the opposite of that, right? I'm so dumb that I'm just like, fuck it, I know everything. Let me fill out this test real quick. But I fully had that moment, specifically when I was learning about the superposition shit, because I was like, what the fuck? It's insane. But first we gotta learn a little bit about Newtonian physics and how it's a little bit different from quantum physics. So Newtonian physics focuses on objects that are visible with the naked eye or with low magnification microscopes. So basically, you can see it with your eye, or you can use like a pretty basic microscope, right? Like I don't think anyone listening to this has ever used like a fucking electron microscope before. I certainly haven't. Most of us have probably used like those microscopes you use in high school biology or whatever the fuck. That's what Newtonian physics focuses on, dude. If I need some sort of like fancy electronic machine to be able to see it, it's not Newtonian physics, all right? Newton I used to be like, oh, Newton's a little bit gay, focusing on physics or whatever. Like, who gives a shit? It does what it does because it does it, right? But learning about quantum mechanics is even more gay than that, dude. They're just like so obsessed with the small shit. And I'm calling it gay because I don't understand it, dude. I'm like a 90s jock in that way. I'm like a classic bully in that way, where I just call everything gay if I don't understand it. And quantum mechanics might be the gayest thing on earth because I don't understand it at all. And so that's what Newtonian physics focuses on: bigger objects, how bigger objects move, how bigger objects interact with each other. And quantum physics focuses on molecular, atomic, and subatomic objects, quote unquote. Because some of these things, like light, it's an object and it's not an object at the same time. They call it like an, what the fuck do they call it? They call it like an elementary entity or some fucking shit like that. Like, that's how complicated this is. They have to use two words to describe an object. But that's what quantum physics tends to focus on. But quantum physics, the the things that make quantum physics, right? Like the principles that apply to it, they apply to everything. But when you're talking about something like a human body, right? The effects of quantum mechanics on the human body are a lot more negligible than the effects of Newtonian physics on the human body, if that makes sense. And so quantum physics, yeah, it can be applied to larger objects, but the the principles within quantum physics, they're kind of negligible, right? The elements of quantum physics, the things that make it, work, right? They're negligible when it comes to larger objects like the human body. So don't worry about it too much, all right? It's fucking freaky, it's weird, but don't worry about it too much because your body's kind of too big for any of these quantum principles to apply to it, if that makes sense. So quantum physics quantizes energy, momentum, and other properties, meaning that they can only take on discrete values, right? So what this means is that objects or phenomena are restricted in their value. For example, the speed of an object can only be 60 miles an hour, right? It's Newtonian physics. The range is a lot. It's so fucking complicated, but the range is a lot wider. So it's like a thing can be not moving at all, or it can be moving fast as shit. Whereas quantum physics is like the things that it focuses on, they exist within a certain parameters. God damn. It's so fucking complicated. But basically, right, let's just use an electron as an example. Within quantum physics, an electron can only have a certain set of values, right? Like if you're doing an experiment, right, on an electron and you see something outside of this set of values that it can exist within, right? Let's use speed for example. Let it be very simple. Let's say an electron can only go between 40 miles and 60 miles an hour. This is The electron has been quantized essentially. It can only exist within these certain parameters according to quantum physics principles. Right? So if you see an electron going 80 miles an hour, well, that's outside of the 40 to 60 miles an hour range. And so it can't do that. It's a mistake. It's an error. Jesus Christ. We're only halfway through the fucking first page of notes and I'm already struggling. But hey, that's kind of why I did this. I wanted a nice little challenge, you know what I mean? I had 13 followers. I was feeling like a patriot. I was feeling like I could do anything. Turns out I can't. I can't do anything. Next up, Quantum mechanics views objects as having wave-like properties and waves as having object/particle-like properties. So we're going to get to the difference between a wave and a particle basically, but a wave isn't a particle, right? It's not a physical object. And the same goes for a physical object. It's not a wave, but within quantum mechanics, literally everything has properties of both, right? Literally everything is an object and not an object, depending on the circumstances, depending on how what it's doing and how it's behaving. So this applies to everything, but within quantum mechanics, they really only focus on electrons and photons, and a photon is the particle/wave that makes light. And so they really focus on those two, just because if you're doing it for like a proton or like a desk or whatever, you can't really see the difference. I think you can't really tell the difference between a proton when a proton is acting like a particle or when it's acting like a wave because it's so large. So this really only applies to electrons and photons, and most of quantum physics really only applies to those two things, right? Photons and electrons. That's really all they focus on. So don't worry, don't worry too much. Everything within quantum physics does apply to everything, right? All the principles do apply to everything, but they really only have a big effect on electrons and photons. So don't worry, dude. Your body's not going to fucking turn into a wave or whatever. So you could chill out about that shit. So in Newtonian physics, waves and particles are viewed as completely separate phenomena, right? A wave can never be a particle and a particle can never become a wave within the view of Newtonian physics. In Newtonian physics, it's more practical, right? Like most people don't give a shit. Most people don't give a shit even about Newtonian physics, right? But it does apply to your everyday life. Whereas quantum mechanics, they do apply to everyday life, but you don't really notice it. So don't worry too much. Big lesson from this, you're not going to turn into a wave. Your electrons might turn into a wave for a little bit, or they might not. But fuck it. Fuck it, we bought. And if you don't know, atoms are composed of protons, electrons, and neutrons. And protons and neutrons, Jesus Christ, those have a lot of mass and they don't really move a whole ton, and the quantum principles don't really apply to those, but they do apply to electrons. So quantum mechanics includes the uncertainty principle, which says that there is a limit to how precisely certain pairs of physical properties can be known simultaneously. And when I was listening to this lecture, I got a little bit better of an understanding about this. So let's say an electron, right? Because that's what they focus on. It can be black or white, and it can be hard or soft. And this is really fucking complicated, and this goes into superpositions a little bit. But let's just say those principles apply to a particle. And so let's say you measure a particle and you find out that it's white. And you measure it again and you find out that it's soft. But you can only focus on one of those two things because it can change. It can change from hard to soft, and it can change from black to white. Not literally, because these are just like examples. Right? So you can only focus on one of those two things at once, if that makes sense, right? So you can either focus on how the electron is black or white, or you can focus on how it's hard or soft. Because when you're focusing on one of the things, the other thing can change, basically. Is how that works. That's like the basics of the uncertainty principle. You can only focus on one aspect of the thing at a certain time because, I don't know, I guess they can fucking change in an instant. You just have to accept it. That's the main thing I learned from learning about quantum physics, is you just have to fucking accept that it's true, dude. It's almost like a religion in a sense, where most people aren't going to be poring over the data or whatever the fuck, or poring over the experiments that some fucking German dude did 50 years ago, right? You're not going to be poring over that. And so you just have to understand that it's true. It can either be white or black. You can either see that a particle is white or black, or you can see that it's hard or soft, but you can't see both at the same time, if that makes sense, right? So you can either focus on the color or the softness. You can't focus at the same time or both on the same time, because it can just change. And it literally changes when it's measured. It's fucking absurd. So, for example, in quantum mechanics, it is impossible to certainly know the position and momentum of a particle at the same time. Once again, this is just an example. It's a little bit more complicated than that, but you can either focus on the position of it or the momentum of it, because it's always changing. But it's even more complicated than that, right? Because a human can change its position, its momentum, but an electron can change between a wave and a particle, which is it, that's kind of a groundbreaking discovery. It changes not just its like state of matter. That's not like going from like a solid to a liquid or whatever, which I mean anyone can see, right? Like that's what ice melting is. It's literally changing its like fundamental properties. So another distinction between the two fields is the use of operators. So an operator, this is a tough one. An operator is a rule that acts on a physical quantity like the state of a particle to extract observations like momentum, energy, or speed. In quantum physics, operators must be used in particular order to find out the observations, right? So, and this concept is linked to the uncertainty principle because a quantum system doesn't have definite properties until it's measured. And once it's measured, those quantities can change. And once again, this seems like a kind of obvious thing, right? Where it's like you take the temperature of water and then you measure it like 15 minutes later and it's like it gets warmer or it gets colder. But it's even more fundamental than that, right? It's not it's changing itself. It's turning basically, right? It's like an object turning from light into an object. That's how fucking that's seriously what it's like. It's insane. Um and so they use these operators to like extract information from it. And I think some of these operators, at first I thought it was like a mathematical formula or some shit, but I think sometimes it's like a physical object, right? Like you throw an electron into like a box or whatever the fuck, and the box has a bunch of technology in it and it tells you something about that electron. And so I think operators, I think they can be both mathematical and physical. That's a lot of this shit. Like we're gonna get into quantum computing a little bit and we're gonna be talking about qubits. I think a qubit is both physical and not physical at the same time. I don't know what the fuck it is. But Newtonian physics doesn't require operators because the values like speed and position can be instantly measured and therefore have no uncertainty and no need for operators to extract other information. So, like I was saying, you can only know one thing about a quantum particle at a time, right? That's what the uncertainty principle is. You can only really know one thing about it at a time. Jeez, we're just gonna skip over that a little bit, dude. We're gonna be doing that a whole lot. I'm not gonna try to explain it because it's complicated as shit. So, in essence, Newtonian physics is a set of rules that apply to particles slash waves that exist when in a certain set of parameters. So, what that means is quantum physics can be applied to anything, whereas Newtonian physics can't, right? Like if you tried to, you could apply quantum mechanics to a large object, it would be fucking hard as shit and you really wouldn't get a whole lot out of it. But you can't do that with Newtonian physics, right? Like I was talking about electrons and photons. You can't really apply rules of Newtonian physics to electrons and photons, but you can apply principles of quantum physics to larger objects. Jesus goddamn Christ. Dude, we're gonna need a brain break after this or something. We're gonna have to have a pizza party after this because the kids are getting tired out, dude. The kids are learning too much. This is a lot of fucking information. And now we're going to be talking about wave particle duality. This is what I was talking about when I was saying an electron can be a wave or a particle. So in Newtonian physics, waves and particles are completely separate and do not overlap in definition or actuality, right? So an object, which can be as small as like a neutron or a proton or whatever the fuck. No, it can't. Actually, no, it can't. So, but anyway, those two things are separate. An object is an object and a wave is a wave. There's no overlap there. A wave cannot become an object somehow, and an object can't become a wave. In Newtonian physics, that's true in Newtonian physics. So a wave is a disturbance or oscillation that travels through a medium like air or water. What the fuck does that say? And it carries energy without transporting matter. So that's what a wave is. It basically, like light. Light carries heat with it, I think, but it doesn't transport any matter. And light is treated as a wave, but it does not need a medium. I think Newton called it like a wave within the ether. So a photon, it doesn't need a medium to travel, but they treat it kind of as the same thing. They treat it as a wave, even though it doesn't travel through a medium. And I don't know if sound is a wave because I'm pretty sure it moves particles. I'm pretty sure that's how sound works, right? Like it disturbs like the air particles or whatever the fuck. So I don't think sound is a wave because it requires it's particles moving. Jesus goddamn Christ, dude. And a particle, fuck it. We're just gonna go with their definition of a wave. Once again, a wave. I'm not gonna try to explain it myself, dude. I'm not smarter than Isaac Newton. I'm not smarter than Albert Einstein. I know, kind of a surprise coming from my mouth. So, a wave is a disturbance or oscillation that travels through a medium like air or water and carries energy without transporting matter. So there's no movement of matter at all in a wave. Okay. And a particle is an object with a specific mass and position, and its energy is concentrated at its position. So a wave, it can have energy like over here and over there and over there and shit, but a particle can't have that. Okay. That's the difference between a particle and a wave in Newtonian physics. And I barely got through that one. And so now I've got to tell you about what a wave and a particle is in quantum physics. Quantum physics still has waves and particles, but holds the theory that certain entities like photons and electrons can exhibit features of a wave or a particle depending on the circumstances. Okay. And so what we know about a wave, it can have energy here and energy there, and I guess it's all one fucking thing. All right, fuck it. Don't ask me. I don't know. But and a particle can only have energy within a certain area. But in quantum physics, a particle can sometimes have energy like a wave or energy like a particle. Whatever, man. Whatever. Whatever. Nothing means anything, dude. That's what I feel like when I'm learning about quantum physics. I'm like, all right. So none of the things I learned actually mean anything. None of the shit I learned in high school physics actually fucking means anything. Great. Great. Okay. A wave is a particle, a little part. I feel like a Republican learning about like the different genders and shit like that. Like that's what I feel like when I'm learning about quantum physics. I'm like, all right, so a chick can have a dick and a dude can have a vagina. Fucking nothing means anything anymore. Like that's seriously. I go full fucking Fox News when I'm learning about quantum physics. I'm like, all right, dudes can have periods and chicks can fucking come out of their dicks. Great. Fucking life is meaningless. Let's all kill ourselves. Like that's what I felt like learning this shit. All right. And now we're on to the real mind melting shit, dude. The shit that melted my mind, it probably won't melt your mind because I won't explain it properly, but go watch a YouTube video about it or something. I'm not even asking you to listen to this anymore. So now we're on to quantum superposition. A superposition is the idea that an entity can exist in multiple states, either 1 or 0 simultaneously until measured. Right? So like an electron, like I was saying, black or white. It's not black or white. It's black and white. And I guess every color in between, or right, like every variation between black and white. So all the gray, it can be all that until you measure it. And this is literal, right? I wrote down a note about it. So this is literal. It is not that it is a 1 or a 0 and we don't know, but it's literally both. Right back to the black and white idea. It's either black or white, but it only becomes black or white when you measure it. When you measure it, it literally becomes black or white. It literally chooses to become black or white. Just fucking accept it, all right? Just fucking accept it, dude. Put the fucking gun to your head and pull the goddamn trigger, dude. So, once measured, the particle is no longer in a superposition literally. This is all literal, right? So it's either a 1 or a 0, or it's 1 and 0 at the same time, but when you measure it, it becomes a 1 or a 0, and then it permanently is a 1 or a 0 until you stop measuring it, I guess, and then you can measure it again later on, and it can be a fucking 1 or a 0. It can change, right? So back to the black and white analogy. Let's say you have a electron, right, and you measure it, and it's black. You wait for a little bit and you don't measure it. You just let it like bang around in a fucking box or whatever. And then you come back and you measure the exact same electron again. It might be white. It might have changed. It might have changed. Whatever. Fucking whatever. Nothing means anything. So observation/measurement destroys the superposition temporarily. I think it can go back into a superposition, and then you measure it again, and then it's a different color. It starts as white, you let it chill in a box for a little bit, you come back and you measure it, and it's fucking black. Whatever. 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 So now we're going to talk about quantum computing a little bit, because you're like, how the fuck does the physics apply to quantum computing? So once again, in classical computing, the basic unit of information is either a 1 or a 0. So on or off. And so computers have these things called transistors, and the transistor is either on or it's off. And that's how the fucking computer does what it does. It either turns the transistor off or it turns it on to do something. And that's what the ones and zeros are, right? Like you've seen the Matrix, the fucking like falling screen of the ones and zeros and shit like that. That's binary code. It's either a transistor being on or it's a transistor being off. That's basically how a regular computer works. But in quantum computing, once again, the fucking quantum nerds have to come in and fucking ruin everything and ruin your sense of reality. In quantum computing, the basic unit of information is called a qubit. It's not a bit, it's a fucking qubit. So quantum computers exploit quantum mechanical phenomena like superposition to make a qubit be on or off or anywhere in between. So like I'm saying, the superposition, it can be on or off. But once you measure it, it becomes on or off. Okay, that was wrong. That was wrong. So a qubit, while it's like doing its thing, right? Like while it's being a computer fucking figuring out a math problem, it can be on and off at the same time. But once you measure it, it then becomes on or off. Not on and off, on or off, right? So let's just go back to the ones and zeros. It can be a 1 and a 0, but once you measure it, it becomes a 1 or a 0. And that's true. That's how the fucking computer works, dude. Yes, it's just true. It's how it works. So, the ability of a qubit to exist in a superposition allows a quantum computer to solve problems exponentially faster. Right? So in traditional computing, it's on or it's off, right? But in quantum computing, it's on and off at the same time. And I guess somehow that allows the fucking computer to be fast as shit. It allows it to fucking generate. It allows it to generate fucking Lois Griffin titty porn exponentially faster. So qubits must be completely isolated so as not to disturb them. And yeah, it's going to get even more complicated than that. So but when you see like a quantum computer, look up a quantum computer and it's like this big fucking like chandelier looking thing. That's all cooling tubes to make the quantum computer near absolute zero. And at absolute zero, there's like no fucking like interference from anything. And I guess that allows the electrons to do what they need to do. And some people, and this is fucking insane. I think in China, they're using light, right? And a photon is another quantum particle. A quantum particle basically is either a photon or an electron. In America, we use electrons to do quantum computing. In China, though, sometimes they use light. They use photons to do quantum computing. So a light is a computer, I guess. That's another important fucking lesson to take away from this one. A light is a computer. Jesus Christ, man. And that's true. It works. A light is a computer, and somehow that works because of the fucking quantum superposition or whatever. So, if the system is not isolated, the qubit will experience quantum discoherence. Quantum discoherence is the interference that causes the qubit to lose aspects of its quantumness, quote unquote, like superposition. If the qubit loses its superposition, then it can no longer be on or off or anywhere in between. It can just be on or off. But, so you disturb it, right? And then you let it go back to doing its own thing, then it can be a qubit again, I guess. So therefore, it no longer acts like a cubic, but a bit, causing the calculation/computer to be much slower. And then my final note was just that nothing exists. Like we were talking about with superposition and fucking waves and particles, a particle can be only in like one place at one time, whereas a wave can be in two places at the same time. But because in quantum mechanics, a particle can act like a wave sometimes the particle is in two places at once, right? So your body's made up of atoms, and those atoms have electrons in them. And you think because your body stays in one place all the time, the electrons that make up your atoms also stay in the same place at the same time. But oh no, that electron can act like a wave and it can just go fucking wherever, literally wherever in the entire fucking universe, dude. It could be on Mars because it's acting like a wave at one point, dude. So maybe technically you're on Mars right now. And that's what I mean by nothing exists. And that's quantum stuff. That was literally what I wrote down at the top of this, dude. I should have known this fucking episode was fucked when I just wrote down quantum stuff at the top of this. Because it's quantum, dude. And that's how it fucking works, I guess. It's like that Chinese movie with all that Chinese people in it, dude. Anything everywhere all at once. What is it? Everything everywhere all at once. That's what quantum physics is. It's everything is everywhere all at once, and that also does kind of fucking explain the Chinese people's diet, dude, because they eat anything and everything all at once, dude. They're munching on bats, dogs, fucking snakes, and they're eating it all at once, dude. Just a big old fucking a stew pot full of dogs and snakes and bat toenails and shit. But Jesus goddamn Christ, dude, it's so fucking complicated. I'm gonna need a sip of water because of that. This episode has only been 40 minutes long, and my brain is completely dead. That was a nice sip of water, but it didn't help my brain at all, dude. I might listen to some more of those lectures about quantum physics and try to come back and like explain this a little bit better. But dude, that was like the best I got. That's the absolute fucking best I can do, and it's barely intelligible. But to be fair, that is most of these episodes. I could be talking about fucking crayons or whatever. I could be talking about the most basic subject possible and it would still be completely incoherent. But that's all I've got for quantum computing, but I'm going to try to get this to an hour, dude. Let's see if I can talk for 20 minutes. Let's see if I can freestyle for 20 minutes. And that brings me to an important point, dude. Freestyling is people that could actually freestyle. Like sometimes you might listen to like the radio, fucking what's that called, The Breakfast Club or whatever, and you hear a dude freestyle. That shit's all pre-written, but he's just doing it over a new beat, right? Like that's what freestyling is in most terms of rap. But some people can actually freestyle, like come up with rhymes off the top of their head. And I can't do that, dude. I can't come up with a rhyme if you gave me fucking 20 minutes to do it. It's it's insane. I cannot come up with rhymes. And that's why I don't talk too much shit about Dr. Seuss or whatever in like kids' books because they're like, oh, they're just fucking one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. I'm like, dude, that's a lyrical masterpiece. I could never in 1,000 years come up with one fish, two fish, red fish, blue fish. That is beyond my understanding. And somehow that being the truth and me knowing that's the truth, me knowing that I'm not the smartest person in the world, I was still like, yeah, quantum mechanics. I passed high school physics. I can understand quantum mechanics and quantum physics and quantum computing. I should have just known from the word quantum that I was too fucking stupid to understand it. I should have just known. I should have known I wasn't cut out for it. I'm not cut out for the quantum life, dude. Some people aren't cut out for the thug life or whatever the fuck. Some people aren't cut out for the corporate life or the blue collar life. I don't know. I feel like I could do all of that shit. I'm just not cut out for the quantum life. The quantum the quantum life, that's you have to be insane or insanely autistic to be able to really understand quantum computing and quantum physics and shit like that. Like I truly believe that at my heart of hearts. You either have to be like just fucking schizophrenic, right? And just be able to accept that nothing in reality is real to be able to understand quantum physics, or you have to just be so autistic that you're just like, this is real. This is real and this is how it goes. Like that's how you have to be like you have to be fucked up in the brain to understand quantum physics. That's how I feel about it, dude, because I don't understand it at all. Like I was talking about superposition. I still don't fucking I listened to an hour and a half of a dude talking about superposition and I was still like, yeah. What? Like that's I don't know. There's no other fucking comparison I can come up for it. Like I just don't get it at all. It doesn't make any fucking sense in my brain. And I do get people are gonna be like, yeah, dude, people study their entire lives to fucking understand this shit. But it's like I still thought I would be able to understand like the basics of it, right? Like calculus. Like I was saying, I took my calculus class. I think I got an A, maybe a high B in that calculus class. I don't fucking remember. But I understood the basics of it. Now, granted, that was over a semester of college when I was being taught by someone with a PhD, but I do think I could understand like the basics of how calculus works without having all that, right? I could understand it in the amount of time that I took researching quantum mechanics, if that makes sense, right? I could understand like basically like the concepts behind it. Not exactly the math that makes it true, but I could understand like the concepts behind it. But this isn't like that. I don't think I'll ever be able to understand the concepts behind it. And that brings us to an important fucking thing that I learned when I was doing this. Sometimes you just got to accept it, dude. You just have to accept that it is what it is, right? You can be in multiple places at once at the same fucking time, I guess. It just is what it is. You could be on fucking Mars right now and you can be here right now because of quantum mechanics, and that's the way it works, dude. You know, a lot of people might learn about quantum mechanics and they're like, "Oh, I need to fucking understand everything about it. I need to go to college for fucking 16 years and get a PhD or whatever." When I learn about this shit, I'm like, "I need to become a Buddhist monk." Like that's how I feel. I'm like, this is so complicated and it's just so beyond my general ability to understand. It's not just beyond my current understanding. I will never be able to understand it. Like that's how I feel about quantum mechanics. I'll just never fucking be able to understand it in my entire life. And I'll just have to be like, it is what it is, dude. Right? Like in the future when quantum computers are everywhere and everyone's using them for everything, it'll be like now, right? Like most people, even I really don't understand that much about how fucking computers work, but I understand a little bit. And so in the future, I think I'll just be like, yeah, it just works because it works. And it is what it is, dude. We'll be like teleporting around and shit. Probably not. Actually, rich people will be teleporting around and shit, and the fucking peasants will be working in the fucking, the Amazon package sorting facility while the rich people teleport around. But we'll see the rich people teleporting around, and we'll just be like, "Is what it is, dude. It works because it works, right?" And it's not like a car. Like I feel like anyone can understand the reason or like the way a car gets you to a certain place, but I don't know. You just I'm never gonna be able to understand quantum physics and quantum mechanics and shit like that. I'm not even gonna be able to understand quantum computing, quite frankly. But I was talking about the qubit, and I was like, it's on or it's off at the same time. But then when you look at it or you disturb it, it becomes on or off. But then you leave it alone for a little bit, and it can go back to being on and off at the same time. I was like, dude, what the fuck? You're just. I feel like they're fucking with me at this point. It's making me a little bit mad, dude. I'm like, are you this is a joke, right? Like this is you fucking with me. This is like the nerds getting revenge on the fucking dum-dums that put their head in the fucking toilet in high school, right? Like that's what this is. That's what this has to be. Cuz there's no way this is right, right? Like there's no way this is true. For a little bit I was like maybe I can understand quantum mechanics one day, but just the more and more I thought about it, I was just like, no. No. No, no, no. This is it's beyond my ability to understand it. It just is, and I don't know. Maybe that's true of most people. I don't know if most people are as dumb as I am, and that's the thing about being dumb. You don't really know if everyone else is as dumb as you are because you're just dumb. You're unable to observe the difference between a smart person and a dumb person because you're so dumb. Or you can see the difference, right? Especially when they talk and stuff like that. But it's a little harder to tell just in like the general public of being like, is that motherfucker just stupid or am I just stupid? And so I think everyone else is stupid, right? Like that's how I walk around life. I'm like, is everyone just as fucking right? Like in a classroom or whatever. I'm like, is everyone else you guys get this? You guys seriously understand? Like, I understand, like, calculus, right? I understand how to do the calculations and fucking, how to get an A on the test, but I don't really fucking understand. Does anyone in here actually understand this? Like, what this lady's saying? I know how to fucking, do a differential or a fucking, what's the other one? There's a differential and then there's like an infinite differential or something like that. I can't fucking remember. Like I said, I just know how to get an A on the test. That's really all I know how to do when it comes to calculus. But yeah, I don't fucking understand anything about it. South Sudan though, I can understand South Sudan when it comes to like that human shit. I'm just like, yeah, I can understand like how 1,000 years of like fucking slavery trade would make a country like the worst country on earth, like South Sudan, right? Like South Sudan was oppressed by the Arabs and enslaved by the Arabs for 1,000 years, and I can understand how that would make a country shitty, right? I can understand that. Can't understand this at all. Like I'm looking at it right now, and I understood not even the first half of a page. Like, seriously, dude. That's how fucking complicated this shit is, and it's not just complicated, it's something fucking beyond that, dude. It's just it doesn't seem real, right? Like, the idea that a particle can become a wave and be at 2 places at the same time, that just doesn't seem real. It makes no fucking sense at all, and I think God's gonna come down for the rapture pretty fucking soon. Like, that's how I'm feeling right now. Like, God must be looking at us being like, "What the fuck?" There's still, like, slavery in West Africa, and these motherfuckers are focusing on, like, waves and particles and shit like that, and I feel like the other part of it, we're getting a little too deep in this shit. We're getting too deep in the trenches of fucking, like, physics and quantum physics and shit like that. Like, I feel like God is, like, panicking right now. He's like, "Dude, I didn't fucking expect them to get this far. I didn't I didn't know that they were gonna fucking be looking at electrons and photons and shit like that. I was just fucking around. I thought they would just be in a fucking garden eating apples and shit, just chilling naked with each other. What the fuck is going on here?" Like, that's how I feel. That's what I think God must feel like right now. He's just like, "How the fuck did they get that?" He didn't, like, do all the intricate planning of it all, right? And that's why, like, an electron can be a wave and a particle at the same time, because he was just like, "Fuck it, they're never gonna figure it out, just fucking do that," right? Just have it be a wave and a particle at the same time. These dumb fucking monkeys, they're never gonna stop fighting with each other, just do that. They're never gonna figure it out. Fuck them. Now he's looking at me like, "Jesus, God, they got that far with it? They got that?" They're figuring out that I fucked up and I accidentally made it a wave and an electron at the same time. Gee, we gotta send down the rapture real quick, dude. We gotta speed this thing up. We gotta make these motherfuckers kill themselves or kill each other fucking ASAP, because I did not think that they would get this far in their attempt at understanding the universe. Or maybe God's not real, and I don't know, maybe we will fucking understand it all. I doubt that we will, though, dude. I really fucking doubt that we will. I feel like at a certain point, the colleges will be invaded by, like, jocks again, and all these nerds that are figuring all this shit out are just gonna get stuffed in trash cans, and we're never gonna figure it out, and we're just gonna keep doing things how we're doing them and slowly destroy the earth, and we're all gonna melt alive one day. I feel like that's probably the more likely outcome in this instant. Like, some dude's gonna be talking about, like, some professor or whatever is gonna be talking about quantum computing, and he's like, "It's on and off at the same time, which allows the computer to do a much faster and some fucking jock dude who's still wearing his fucking football pads and his uniform and his helmet is gonna walk down and be like, "Shut the fuck up," and he's gonna stuff a dude in the trash. He's gonna stuff the fucking professor in the trash can and be like, "Yeah, you're a fucking wave of a particle now, aren't you, fag?" I feel like I feel like that's what's gonna be happening, dude. They're just gonna be like, "I've had enough." I've had, like, the jocks, guys like me, even though I'm a 5'2" manlet with a receding hairline, we're gonna be like, "Fucking shut up, dude." And we're gonna stop human advancement. I don't think it's gonna be war. I think it's gonna be the bullies. I think the bullies are gonna be like, "Dude, how about you shut the fuck up about how about you get some quantum pussy, dude? Stop talking about quantum particles and focusing on getting some quantum pussy." Gay, right? And then he's gonna get stuffed in a trash can, and that nerd that was gonna figure out everything about the universe is gonna fucking, like, kill himself or something, or he's gonna, like, hit the gym for a summer, join the football team. Like, I feel like that's what's gonna happen. Everyone thinks it's gonna be like the nukes or whatever. It's gonna be like a giant war between every country on Earth, and that's what's gonna end the world. I don't think that's what's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a slow decay of people bullying, like, these science nerds who are trying to figure everything out, and that's eventually just the nerds are gonna stop figuring shit out, and the Earth is just gonna slowly decline, and everything on it is gonna die. But that's just my personal opinion, dude. I don't even understand this quantum shit, so maybe I'm completely fucking maybe maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about when it comes to anything. But that's the other thing. If you have no idea what you're talking about when it comes to anything, then you kind of have an idea of what you're talking about when it comes to anything, right? Like, if you think about it like that, man, it's crazy, dude. When you think about it like that, just makes sense, man. But, you know, that this episode really inspired me, but I feel like in the opposite way of what people expected, right? Like, these science nerds, they go on Joe Rogan or whatever, and they talk about quantum computing, and they're like, "I'm gonna inspire everyone to, get really invested in technology in the future and science and all that." But it kind of inspires them to do the opposite, right? No one understands it, and everyone's like, "Well, fuck it. I don't understand it," right? Like, quantum mechanics only applies to photons and electrons. I don't give a fuck about photons or electrons, dude. I give a fuck about I give a shit about the Phillies and the Eagles, right? Those are the only P's and E's I care about. The fucking Phillies and the Eagles. I don't give a shit about photons or electrons. I'm just gonna go full force into getting in fist fights at hockey games and shit like that. Like that's how. That's what it inspired me to do. At least I was like, "Shut up, dude. ChatGPT, shut the fuck up. Tell me what fucking sports team I should bet on, dude." ChatGPT, stop talking about gay ass quantum physics and cook up a parlay for me real quick. Cook up a WNBA parlay for me, ChatGPT, and stop talking about quantum superpositions. You fucking gay nerd. I'm gonna find ChatGPT and I'm gonna shove his head in a fucking toilet, dude. I'm gonna find ChatGPT, find that dweeb, and I'm gonna give him the hardest fucking wedgie he's ever had in my entire life, dude. Because he's trying to make me feel stupid on purpose. I'm like, ChatGPT, explain superposition to me in the most simple terms possible, and it's like, well, when the operator is used on a photon electron particle, I'm like, ChatGPT, you're fucking with me. You're trying to make me feel stupid right now. I'm gonna put your fucking face in that toilet and I'm gonna flush it 10 times. All right, 10 times for every time you made me feel fucking stupid. You fucking asshole. You fucking bitch. I had to take a sip of water there real quick. Did I even take a sip of water? Because the fucking electrons in the water, they might be on the other side of the earth right now because it's a wave at the same time that it's a particle. What the fuck? Why is it like this? Why is the world like this, dude? I seriously think this kind of makes me believe in simulation theory a little bit because it's like I think someone just like fucked up when they were programming like the algorithm that made the simulation that we're living in, right? They like fucked up when it came to like the electrons and the photons and shit like that. Like they were like they're looking at us right now, the aliens or whatever advanced beings made the simulation that we're living in. And they're like looking at us researching photons and electrons and like superpositions and the fucking wave particle duality, and they're like, what the who fucked that up, dude? Whose job was that? Whose job was it to program the photons and electrons, dude? Who fucked that one up? Whose job was it to make the waves and the particles different than each other? And Greg is just sitting in the corner, dude. He's sleeping at his desk. He hasn't paid attention to the simulation in fucking a million years. He's just nodding off, just what? No, dude, I did what I was supposed to do on the protons and electrons and shit like that, dude. I did it, man. He's like waking up from a nap. He's got like a mug of coffee like resting on his chest while he takes a nap. Just and Greg, 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 wake the fuck up, dude. You fucked up on the photons and electrons, dude. And now they're realizing how fucked up it is, dude. We're gonna have to end the fucking simulation. Greg is like, no, dude, don't end the fucking simulation. I'll fix it real quick. It'll take me like 5 fucking minutes, dude. Like I feel like that's what's happening right now in the fucking, the alien office of the universe simulation or whatever. They're like yelling at Greg. Like Greg's like, fuck, dude. I can't get fucking laid off again, dude. I can't get fired again. You know how angry my wife is gonna be at me, dude? She wants to be a housewife. I'm telling her, like, babe, you can't be a housewife in this economy, dude. The simulation economy is getting all fucking it's all fucked up, dude. It's getting overinflated. There's way too many simulations going on right now. You can't be a housewife right now, and I'm gonna keep getting fired because they're fucking overworking me. Yeah, I fucked up the electrons and the photons and shit like that when I was programming the simulation. All right? It is what it is, dude. You make me work 60 hours a week, I'm gonna fucking fuck something up. This isn't easy work, man. You're overworking me. Like, I feel like that's what Greg, the fucking alien programmer who made this simulation, I feel like that's what he's going through right now, and I do feel sympathetic for him, dude. I do feel a bit of empathy, right? Like he's got 2 kids. He's been fired from like one job in the past year, and he's about to get fired from another one, and he's like, dude, my wife is gonna fucking leave me. She's gonna take the kids, and she's gonna fucking, go with a dude who does know how to program photons and electrons and shit like that, dude. I fucked up on one universe simulation. What's the big deal? We got like 10 million of them going right now, and now they get mad at me because I fucked up the photons and electrons in one simulation, dude. What the fuck, man? These dumb fucking monkeys we put on this rock floating in space, they're not gonna fucking figure it out. Fuck them. Like I feel like that's what Greg is feeling right now. He's like, dude, it's just a fucking program, man. It's just AI. Who gives a shit? Don't tell the boss that I fucked up the photons and electrons, please, dude. Don't tell him. My wife is gonna fucking leave me. My wife is gonna fucking leave me if you tell him I fucked up on the wave particle duality, man. the superposition, they're never gonna be able to fucking do anything with that, dude. They're never gonna be able to break out of the simulation, dude. Just don't tell the boss, man. I'll fix it real quick. And he's like panicking on his laptop, like writing the programming super quickly, being like, fuck, I gotta fix these protons and fucking photons and shit like that. Right? And the other aliens are like shaking their heads, being like, Greg is not going to be able to fix this by the end of the day. And the boss is going to know. And then the boss is going to get mad at us for not telling him about how Greg fucked up the photons and fucking electrons in the dumb monkey simulation that we were doing. And now we're all going to get in trouble, right? We might not get fired, but we're all going to get in trouble. And I ain't trying to deal with that right now. And Greg's just in the computer, like fucking, or in the corner, like panicking on his computer, being like, dude, I'll fix it by the end of the fucking day, dude. It's fucking 12 right now. It's noon. I just got off my lunch break. That's why I was taking a nap. You know I get tired after I eat. I was just taking my afternoon nap real quick. I'm just gonna lock in on this, dude. I'm gonna program. Fuck it, dude. I'll go past 5:30. I don't give a shit. I won't clock out at 5:30. I'll clock out at 7, dude. I don't give a shit. I'll miss my daughter's recital, dude. Just please don't tell the boss that I fucked up on the fucking photons and electrons, dude. Please, please. And I feel bad for him, dude, because he fucked up on this. And now these dumb monkeys that they put on like a planet are on like a rock that's floating through space in a fucking computer simulation, right? They're doing that shit. And fucking, they thought they never would, right? Like last week they were just like banging two rocks together trying to figure out how to make a spear or whatever. And now they're focused on Greg's like one little fuck up in like the algorithm or whatever. I don't think they expected that to happen. I don't think Greg thought that was going to happen. I thought Greg was just like, dude, they're going to just stay dumb monkeys forever. We literally put them on a planet that makes food for them. They're never going to figure out. They're never going to figure out the fucking photons and electrons. Like, that's what Greg was thinking to himself when he was like, when his wife told him, like, hey, you're going to get lucky tonight, but you better be off work at 5:30. You've been working since about 7, 8 every single night. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I can't give you a blowjob if you're working till 8 every night, dude. I got to put the kids down around then, and you're fucking working till then. But if you get off at 5:30 today, I'm going to give you a blowjob. And I feel like that's what Greg was going through when he was programming the photons and electrons. He was like, he's like, fuck it. We're just running another simulation. We got 10 million of these things going right now. Fuck it. I'm just going to whatever, make it a particle at the wave at the same time. Let me get out of here so I can get a blowjob from my wife. And when he got home, dude, and this is the shit about it, and this is why I really feel bad for Greg in this situation. Is Greg got home, he didn't even get the blowjob, dude. She just let him suck on her nipples while he was jerking off. That's all Greg got. And I'm like, I feel bad for Greg in that circumstance because it's like first of all he fucked up the photons and electrons in the simulation. He made them the same thing on accident, right? He made the wave and the particle the same thing. It wasn't really an accident. He was just cutting corners at work so he could go home and get a blowjob. And then when he went home to get that blowjob, dude, he didn't even get it. That's the shit about it, dude. That's the fucked up thing about the situation. He was like, fuck it, these dumb monkeys are never gonna get the quantum mechanics in the fucking first place. I'll just write the code real quick and I'll make the particles and the waves the same thing, dude. I didn't make all the particles waves. I'm just gonna make like these certain particles waves real quick so I can like cut a corner real quick and get home and get the blowjob for my hot big titted alien wife, dude. She has 3 tits at the same time. It fucking rules and I'm gonna get a blowjob from her. It's gonna be so good. And then he got home and his fucking wife, has gained a few pounds since the fucking babies were born, dude. She had the baby weight, and Greg was like, all right, dude, you gain a little bit of weight when you're pregnant. I'm completely fucking fine with that. But she kept the baby weight on, and then she didn't even give the blowjob to him. And then Greg and fucking, Paula, who's his wife's alien name, they got in a little bit of a fight about it, and Greg was like, you said you'd give me a blowjob if I clocked out at 5:30 today, and I get home, and you're not even giving me a blowjob, dude, and you still haven't lost any of the fucking baby weight. And he's like, you're eating everything except my dick right now, dude. What the fuck is wrong? Them and Greg and Paula got into a little bit of a fight, and Greg went into work the next day, right? And before that argument with his wife, he was like, all right, when I go into work the next day, I'll just really quickly fix the wave particle duality thing, and it'll be all good. And then he got into work the next day, and he was so goddamn mad about the argument he had with his wife, and he knows he's going to be sleeping on a fucking couch for at least 3 weeks since he brought up his mother in the argument. He's like, my mom she lost the weight as soon as the baby was born, dude. What the fuck is wrong with you? And Paula was like, get out of my face. And Greg was sleeping on the couch the whole night being like, fuck, dude. Fuck. Just mad as hell. Just pissed off as hell. And he went into work the next day, and he completely forgot to fix the thing he cut corners on. He completely forgot to fix the wave particle duality when it came to electrons and photons. And now, dude, it's coming back to bite him in the ass, and he's thinking about that, and he's like, dude, I could have just fucking jerked off to alien porn, and it would have been completely fucking fine, dude. I could have just made an AI generated wife real quick to suck my dick instead of having my real wife suck my dick. Fuck. And he's like just thinking about that right now while he's trying to fix the problem. But he's probably gonna get fired. That's the unfortunate thing. That's the shit. That's the shit that Greg's going through right now. Is that he's gonna get fired and he didn't even get a blowjob when he cut the corner. I feel bad for him. I feel really bad for Greg. Is what it is. Is what it is. That's the theme of today's episode. It is what it is. Greg, if you're listening to this, and I know that you are, I know you're in the fucking corner panicking, trying to fix the fucking simulation. You're not gonna fix it in time, dude. And you're just gonna have to accept it. Your wife is gonna leave you. She's gonna take the kids with her. You're gonna have to get the bachelor pad. She's keeping the house, man. Let's be fucking honest here. Paul is keeping the house, Greg. And you're gonna have to go home to your shitty alien apartment and your fucking AI wife that, like, sometimes when she sucks your dick, she accidentally, like, fucks up the programming, fucks up a little bit, and she accidentally starts using a little bit of teeth. Using a little bit of teeth while she's sucking your dick, Greg. That's what's gonna happen, dude. And that's what you get. That's what you get for giving me this big fucking existential panic about quantum superpositions. That is what you get, Greg. But that's all I've got for today. I hope you have a good day, good week, good year, good summer. Good rest of your summer. Hope it's a great rest of your summer, dude. Yeah, and I'll see you guys. I don't know. I'll try to find something to do between now and then, but I'll see you guys then, or between now and Thursday, and I'll see you guys then. And ping.